Hello, math learners. Our lesson for today is about compound interest. The learning objectives are you are going to compute for the compound interest and compound amount and find the present value at compound interest. In compound interest, there are banks or lending institutions that pay compound interest. In this particular case, at the end of each interest period, the interest due is calculated and added to the previous balance in the savings account. The new sum then becomes the principal on which interest is calculated for the next period, assuming no deposits or withdrawals are made. What is a compound interest rate? When you compute the interest and add it to the old principal to make new principal on which you calculate interest for the next period, you are applying the compound interest rate. What about the compound amount or the maturity value? The total amount in the account at the end of the last interest period, regardless of how often interest earned, is called the compound amount. What about the compound interest? The total interest earned is called compound interest, and it is known as the difference between the compound amount and the original principal. Let us have first the graph of simple interest. Using the tabulation here, we have the first column representing the time, and the principal amount invested is 10,000 at 5% interest rate. After 1 year, the amount is 10,500. After 2 years, we have 11,000. On the third year, we have 11,500. On the fourth year, we have 12,000. And on the fifth year, the maturity value is 12,500 pesos. Let us have another tabulation containing the time in years, the amount after 3 years, and the coordinates of the points. And let us have the graph of this data. So we have point A, point B, point C, point D, and point E. And connecting the points, it forms a straight line. Therefore, the graph of a simple interest is a linear graph. Let us have the graph of compound interest. Using this table, with a principal of 10,000, the interest rate is 5%. After 1 year, the maturity value is 10,500. After 2 years, it becomes 11,025. After 3 years, 11,576.25. On the 5th year, the maturity value becomes 12,762.81 pesos. Let us have another tabulation on time, amount after 3 years, and for the coordinates of the points. And let us have the graph. Plotting point A, point B, point C, point D, and point E. And then connect the points. So the graph of compound interest is an exponential graph. Let us compare the two. So using this table, this graph is linear. And using this table, the graph is exponential. This will mean that simple interest remains constant throughout the investment term. In compound interest, the interest from the previous year also earns interest. Thus, the interest grows every year. Next, let us have an illustration on the computation of compound interest. If 10,000 is invested at 5% compounded annually, find the compound amount and the compound interest. The table below illustrates the computation of compound interest. So here, you have the first column, the time in years, then second column, the amount at the start of the year, and then 5% for the interest rate, and then you have the computation as well as the answer. Then for the last column, you have now the maturity value. On the fifth year, we have 12,762.81. The maturity value is 12,762.81, and the compound interest is 2,762.81 pesos. Now, you can use also this formula to find the amount at the end of the year. For the first year, you use this formula. For the second year, third year, fourth year, and for the fifth year. And this is the formula if you would like to compute for the maturity value or the compound amount. Let us use the formula. Substitute 10,000 to P times the quantity 1 plus 0.05 as the rate of interest raised to 5. Then compute. So the maturity value is 12,762.82. And to find the interest, all you have to do is to take the difference of the maturity value and the principal. So the compound interest is 2,762.82. Therefore, the compound interest using this computation and using the formula is very close to each other. Let us have the maturity value and the compound interest. So let us have now the formula for the maturity value as well as the formula for the compound interest. So let us have first the maturity value. That is, F is equal to P times the quantity 1 plus R raised to T, where final or maturity or the future value or simply the compound amount, P is the principal amount or present value, T is the term or time in years, and R is equal to the interest rate. And for the compound interest is I sub C is equal to F minus P, where I sub C is equal to the compound interest and F for the final amount or maturity or the future value, and P is the principal or the present value. Let us use now the formula in solving the problem. The first example is find the maturity value and the compound interest if 10,000 pesos is compounded annually at an interest rate of 2% in 5 years. Let us have the given first. For the principal, that is 10,000. The rate is 2%, equivalent to 0.02. And T is 5 years. So let us find the maturity value. Let us represent that by F. And for the solutions, this is now the formula. Then substitute 10,000 to P. Then times the quantity of 1 plus 0.02 for the rate raised to 5 for us, your T. And then simplify. The result is 11,040.81. The future or the maturity value is 11,040.81 pesos. And finding for the compound interest, the solutions, you start first with the formula I sub c is equal to f minus p. And the maturity value is 11,040.81 minus 10,000 for p. Subtract, so the answer is 1,040.81. The compound interest is 1,040.81 in 5 years. Let us have example number 2. Find the maturity value and the interest if 50,000 pesos is invested at 5% compounded annually for 8 years. So, given P is equal to 50,000, R is 5% or 0.05, and T is 8 years. Let us find first the maturity value. So, for the solutions, you start with the formula and then substitute 50,000 to P, 0.05 to R, and 8 to T. Then simplify. The result is 73,872.77. Therefore, the future value is 73,872.77 pesos. For the compound interest, let us have the solutions. The formula is I sub c is equal to f minus p. So substitute, f is 73,872.77 minus 50,000. So the answer is 23,872.77. Therefore, the compound interest is 23,872.77 pesos for 8 years. Next, let us have the present value represented by P at compound interest. The present value or the principal of the maturity value F due in T years, any rate R can be obtained from the maturity value formula, which is F is equal to P times the quantity 1 plus R raised to T. Solving for the present value P, let us use this formula and then divide both sides by the quantity 1 plus R raised to T, and then simplify, so we can cancel this part, and then what is left is F over the quantity 1 plus R raised to T equals P. Then we can apply the symmetric property of equality. So we have now P is equal to F over the quantity 1 plus R raised to T, or you can rewrite the formula into P is equal to F times the quantity 1 plus R raised to negative T, applying the law of negative exponent. Let us apply the formula for the present value in this problem. What is the present value of 50,000 pesos due in 7 years at 10% compounded annually? For the given, the future value is 50,000, the rate is 10% or 0.1, and T is 7 years. The problem is we're going to find the present value. So for the solutions, we have to use the formula first. And the formula is P is equal to F over the quantity 1 plus R raised to T. And substitute the given. So we have 50,000 for F. And for the denominator, we have 1 plus 0.1 raised to 7. Then simplify, we have 50,000 over 1.1 raised to 7. So the denominator is equivalent to 1.9487171. Then P is equal to 25,657.91. The answer is the present value is 25,657.91 pesos. Next problem. How much money should a student place in a time deposit in a bank that pays 1.1% compounded annually so that he will have 200,000 pesos after 6 years? Let us have the given. For the future amount, 200,000. For the rate, 1.1% or 0.011, and T is 6 years. We are asked to find the present value. And for the solutions, first we have to use the formula. You may use this formula with a negative T. And then substitute the given. Then we have 200,000 times the quantity 1 plus 0.011 raised to negative 6. And simplify, then we have 200,000 times 1.011 raised to negative 6. And this part is equivalent to 0.936468269. And multiply, the result is 187,293.65. Therefore, the student should deposit 187,293.65 pesos in the bank so that it will become 200,000 after 6 years. Next, example number 5. How much should you invest to earn 100,000 in 12 years at an interest rate of 5.5% compounded annually? For the future amount, 100,000 pesos, rate 5.5% or 0.055, T is 12 years. We are going to find the present value. For the solutions, we have to use the formula, then substitute the given, 100,000 times the quantity 1 plus 0.055 raised to negative 12. And then simplify. So this part will become 1.055 raised to negative 12. And the result of this part is 0.525981,518. Then multiply. The result is 52,598.15. Therefore, 52,598.15 pesos must be invested in order to earn 100,000 pesos. Do you have questions? If there is none, then see you next time. Bye!